Level 1. The asker, the conscript. You're 20. You grew up in Konya, a conservative city in the heart of Anatolia. Your grandfather fought in Korea with the Turkish brigade. Your father did his mandatory service on the Greek border in the 80s. In your family, military service is not a burden. It is a rite of passage older than the Republic itself. The muster notice arrives. You report to a processing center in Ankara. Thousands of young men from every corner of Turkey. The kid next to you is from Istanbul. Designer sneakers. Never held anything heavier than a laptop. The kid on your other side is from a village in the east. He looks like he was born ready. You are assigned to a land forces unit in the southeast, near the Iraqi border. Your father drives you to the bus station. He shakes your hand. He doesn't hug you. In your family, that handshake says everything a hug would. You board the bus. Turkey disappears behind you mile by mile. Level 2, the Temel Eğitim. Basic training. You're still 20. The training base is in the mountains. The air is thin and cold even in September. Your drill sergeant is a professional soldier who has served in 3 conflict zones and has the patience of a stone wall and the voice of something that doesn't need patience. You run. You crawl. You low crawl through mud that smells like it has been there since the Ottoman Empire. You field strip your G3 rifle blindfolded until the motion lives in your hands instead of your head. The Turkish military has a concept called asker ruhu, soldier spirit. It's not explained to you. It is not written on any wall. It is transmitted through exhaustion and shared suffering, and the moment 3 weeks in when you stop thinking about home and start thinking about the man next to you. That's when the training is actually working. You graduate on a cold morning in November. Your unit assembles on a parade ground. The Turkish flag snaps in the wind above you. The national anthem plays. You have heard it 10,000 times in your life. This time, it lands somewhere different, somewhere deeper. You're a soldier now. Whatever that costs, you'll find out soon enough. Level 3, the Sinier, the border. You're 21. You're stationed near Salopi, a town that sits at the edge of 3 countries, Turkey, Iraq, Syria, all within eyesight on a clear day. This is one of the most complicated pieces of ground on Earth, and you are standing on it with a rifle and orders that cover maybe 40% of what actually happens here. Your unit patrols the border. You're looking for PKK infiltration routes. The Kurdistan Workers' Party has been fighting the Turkish state since 1984. It is the longest active insurgency in the region. The terrain they use, the mountains, the valleys, the caves, is as much their weapon as anything they carry. Your first contact happens on a Tuesday. Your patrol comes under fire from a ridgeline 300 meters north. Everyone drops. Your training takes over before your brain does. You return fire. You move. You communicate. It is over in 4 minutes. Nobody in your patrol is hit. You find blood on the rocks afterward. You don't find anything else. You write the incident report that evening. You eat dinner. You sleep 4 hours. You go back out the next morning. This is the border. It doesn't pause for you to process it. Level 4, the Secum, the selection. You're 22. A senior NCO approaches you after a patrol debrief. He doesn't say much. He hands you a card with a date and a location. You know what it means. Everyone knows what it means. The Bordeaux Barreliller selection. You have 3 weeks to prepare. You run twice a day. You don't tell anyone where you're going. The selection location is a training facility in the mountains outside Agadir. You arrive to find 180 other candidates. Some are bigger than you. Most look harder. All of them are here for the same reason. The instructors don't introduce themselves. They just start. 5 days. Continuous. No defined sleep periods. Physical events that have no announced endpoint, so you never know if the next hill is the last one or the first of 20 more. Psychological pressure applied with the precision of people who have studied exactly where the human mind breaks. On day 3, a candidate next to you simply sits down on a hillside and stares at the valley below. An instructor walks over, stands beside him, says nothing for a full minute. The candidate shakes his head. The instructor nods. A vehicle comes. You watch it drive away. You turn back to the hill. You keep climbing. On day 5, they tell you it's over. 34 candidates remain from 180. You are one of them. You don't celebrate. You're too tired to celebrate. You eat a full meal for the first time in 5 days, and you sleep for 14 hours, and when you wake up, the real training begins. Level 5, the Bordeaux Berlier, the operator. You're 24. 2 years of the most demanding training in the Turkish military. Halo jumps, combat diving, urban warfare in mock villages built specifically to replicate Syrian cities. Close quarters battle drills repeated until they stop being drills and become instinct. You are also trained in something the older operators call sessizlik, silence, not just physical quiet, the ability to move through a situation, a room, a conversation, a crisis without leaving unnecessary marks. Tier 1 work is not loud. The missions that matter most are the ones nobody ever hears about. Your first operational deployment is into northern Syria. Operation Euphrates Shield is ongoing. Turkish-backed forces are fighting ISIS and Kurdish YPG units, simultaneously in a conflict where the alliances shift faster than the maps can be updated. You insert at night. 4 men. A specific objective. You complete it before sunrise, you extract. The helicopter ride back is silent. Everyone is in their own head. Processing, resetting. Back at base, your commander debriefs you for 2 hours. He finds 3 things you could have done better. You write them down. You don't argue. You write them down because that is how you stay alive long enough to do this again. Level 6, the Komutan, the team commander. You're 29. You lead a team now. 8 operators who have all been through what you've been through. Your job has fundamentally changed. In the field, you are still a fighter, but the weight of command means you are thinking 3 moves ahead of the fight at all times. You are operating in northern Iraq. Coordination with the Iraqi Kurdish Peshmerga against PKK mountain positions. The geopolitics of this are labyrinthine. Turkey is simultaneously allied with and suspicious of the Kurds, depending on which Kurds and which day of the week. You navigate this not as a diplomat, but as a soldier who understands that the man sharing your fire position tonight is the complicated product of a complicated history, and right now, in this moment, he is your partner, and that is enough. A mission goes wrong on the 3rd week. Intelligence placed a PKK command node in a specific building. The building is there, the command node is not. It moved 48 hours before your team arrived. You spend 6 hours in a holding position waiting for updated intelligence that comes too late to be useful. You extract without completing the objective. This is the hardest debrief of your career so far, not because anyone blames you, but because you blame yourself, and your commander makes you sit with that and examine it honestly, and then put it down and move forward. You put it down, you move forward, you go back. Level 7, the Korme, the staff officer. You're 35. A decade of operational service has brought you to a place you never expected to want. A desk. Not because you were done in the field, but because the Turkish military needs people who have actually done the work to sit in the rooms where the work gets planned. You are assigned to Special Forces Command Headquarters in Ankara. You work on operational planning, force development, doctrine. You sit in rooms with generals and intelligence officials, and occasionally with liaison officers from NATO, partners who have their own ideas about how Turkey should conduct its operations. Those conversations are the most complex of your career. Turkey's security interests do not always align with its NATO commitments. The PKK is designated a terrorist organization by Turkey, the EU, and the United States. But the YPG, which Turkey also fights, is the primary ground force that the United States used against ISIS in Syria. You sit across from American officers who are simultaneously your allies and the patrons of people your teams have engaged in combat. You are professional. You are diplomatic. You say the right things. You also never forget what you know from the ground, and neither do they. This is the other battlefield, the one fought with words and strategy in climate-controlled rooms. It is not less dangerous than the mountains, just differently dangerous. Level 8, the General, to General. You're 46. You wear a star. You command a Special Operations Brigade. Thousands of men. Multiple ongoing operations across 3 countries simultaneously. You have also lived through something that has no parallel in any Western military, the 2016 coup attempt. You were in Ankara that night. The jets flew low over the city. The bridges closed. Soldiers appeared on the streets who did not know what orders they were following. Soldiers appeared on the other side who did. The country fractured for 8 hours and then came back together, and then the purges began. Thousands of officers were dismissed. Some were genuinely involved, some were not. The line was not always clear. You survived it. Some of your colleagues did not. Men you respected, men you served with, gone from the institution overnight. The military that came out the other side is different from the one you joined. Younger, less experienced in the senior ranks, more politically conscious of its relationship with the government in ways that the old institution tried to avoid. You navigate this carefully. You do your job. You protect your people. You keep the operational capability intact as best you can. Some days that is enough. Some days it isn't. Level 9. The Shadow of Legacy. You're 54. Your active command days are winding down. You're in the final years of a career that has taken you from a cold parade ground in Anatolia to operations across the Middle East and beyond. You sit with a young captain who reminds you of yourself at that age. Sharp, hungry, certain in the way that only people who haven't yet been badly wrong can be certain. He asks you what the most important thing you've learned is. You think about it for a long time. You tell him, the mission is never just the mission. The man next to you is the mission. The institution is the mission. The country that sent you is the mission. When you understand that all of it is connected, when you stop separating the tactical from the human from the political, that is when you become truly dangerous. Not to your enemies, to every problem you will ever face. He writes it down. You hope he remembers it when it matters. Level 10. The meaning. Turkey sits at the intersection of Europe, the Middle East, and Central Asia. It has land borders with 8 countries. It has been at the center of every major regional conflict of the last 40 years. Its military has fought a continuous domestic insurgency since 1984, intervened in 3 neighboring countries in the last decade, and maintained its NATO commitments while pursuing interests that sometimes put it at odds with every ally it has. The Bordo Berliler are the sharpest instrument of that complicated nation. They are elite by any global standard. They are battle-hardened in ways that most special forces units in the world simply are not, because most special forces units have not been continuously at war for 4 decades. The men who wear the maroon beret carry all of that. The history, the complexity, the weight of a country that has never had the luxury of simple enemies or simple wars. Every morning, another young man from Konya or Istanbul, or a village in the east, boards a bus and disappears into that complexity. And Turkey endures.